come out. We'll have here. And here we see Sean here representing Team Cosmo here in those purple shirts, starting off as a Surveil land. Sean, of course, top 8'd a Standard Pro Tour last year, Pro Tour Thunder Junction, playing a different combo deck in Standard, and now plays a Fallaci Archaeologist that allows him to pick any one of these 3 cards from the top. Might take this Abuelo's Awakening. So the whole point of this deck that Sean is playing is to use Abuelo's Awakening, which lets him reanimate an enchantment from his graveyard to put Omniscience into play. Omniscience, a lot of people might know this card. It is just this 8-mana enchantment that lets you play all cards for free from your hand. And so since Sean's deck is chock full of card draw spells, it lets him just chain card draw until he finds his win condition, which is 2 copies of Invasion of Arcavius, through a complicated loop that I'll save for later.
Exactly, when we see it in action now, sacrificing a creature there and Stock Up already on Sean's side. Stock Up being a card that I feel like we have seen over and over on the weekend. If you're playing blue, you're playing Stock Up because this card gives you so much value. So Sean choosing 2 cards to go to hand and the rest at the bottom.
I want to highlight the value of that Fallaci Archaeologist there, because Momentum Breaker says if the opponent has no creatures, you force them to discard a card. And that's exactly what is Toby's game plan here. But the Fallaci Archaeologist just got in the way of that because it could just be sacrificed to the Momentum Breaker. And leaving Sean in a pretty good, position there. That was a great trade-off for him. And then also playing the Stock Up now. So his hand size is full and brimming. He didn't even pick the Abuelos here. I think Sean is just looking for an Omniscience. He might even try to get it into the graveyard by just moving to his discard step now, because I believe he has enough cards in hand that if he skips his land drop for this turn, he'll have 8 cards in hand and can just go to end step, discard the Omniscience, and then next turn... Okay, so he might not have that exact setup. Or maybe he has enough cards anyways. Right, yeah, so Sean is saying move to discard step. Toby using his Demolition Field here to try and catch Sean without basic lands. Of course, Sean has plenty of basics in his deck.
So that Demolition Field taking care of the land there. And as you said, not great for the discard deck to not really wanting to discard Sean's cards, because you might end up just discarding Omniscience, and then there it is.
Yeah, so Sean is actually going to discard here to hand size the Omniscience.
Yeah,
because of playing those 2 Stock Ups. Brilliant interaction there. And now you see the Omniscience in the graveyard. Sean presumably has an Abuelo's Awakening at the ready because he chose to not pick that card of the Fallaci Archaeologist. So Toby probably can't do that much except for representing instant speed removal like Nowhere to Run.
Yeah, because also doesn't have counter spells, not playing any blue, so that makes the combo deck more willing to commit to the combo.
Exactly. So when Abuelo's Awakening reanimates the Omniscience, it turns it into a 1/1, and that gives Toby an angle of attack here, because Toby can then use Nowhere to Run to deal with that Omniscience. So Sean's plan is to find a counterspell, specifically Confounding Riddle, or found a second Omniscience, so that he gets priority right after playing the Abuelos and putting Omniscience into play. So if the first action he takes is to play out the Omniscience from hand for free, well then Toby can no longer interact with it because there's now 2 Omnisciences played.
Yeah, and a lot of people also just keep counter magic, so immediately you play the Omniscience, you have counter magic prepared to try to answer to any removal spell available as well. Yeah.
That's a specifically Confounding Riddle in this case.
Invasion here, so this Invasion is part of the combo, right? Usually you play it when you already have the Omniscience.
Yeah, so I actually think what Sean is doing here is that he doesn't have this backup Omniscience. He doesn't have a counterspell. So he's using the Invasion to try and find some security there. He might even find the Grand Abolisher or a counterspell like a change the equation here. Like some ways, basically the Invasion here lets him search his deck or his sideboard for any card he wants and put it into his hand. I guess it's not any card. It has to be like a non-creature.
Change the equation is the card chosen there. So as you said, getting some counter magic ready. And looks like Toby here reading the change the equation.
Yeah, so an anti-red or green card, but actually does the thing it needs to do here because it can counter that nowhere to run. Which Toby is representing. So Sean just saying, yeah, I'm at risk of that thing happening, but I'm not under any sort of pressure, so I can just take my sweet time. I have plenty of cards in hand here. I can just play out this invasion, search up the protection that I need, and the way Sean's deck wins is by playing a second copy of Invasion and looping those with Jeskai Revelation, one of the new cards that let you return one of your permanents to hand. And so you can keep playing the Invasion, search your graveyard for that Jeskai Revelation, get into your hand, play it for free, and essentially draw through your deck and kill your opponent with that combination.
Great way to win. I mean, love to have some combo decks in Standard. And this one definitely going well for Sean here, 3-1 currently.
So now Toby is actually representing 2 copies of Nowhere to Run. So Sean might want to take it even slower again. And just wait on this Abuelo. So you can actually wait until you have 7 mana and cast it for X equals 3, which means that the Omniscience will come into play as a 1/1 spirit with 3 counters on it. And if it's a 4/4, well then you can't Nowhere to Run it. And since this is open deck list, Sean actually knows that the only way to interact at instant speed is specifically those Nowhere to Run. So by going for that game plan, Sean can just insulate himself against whatever it is Toby can do. So yeah, this is just beautiful, careful combo setup we see here from Sean. Knowing that whenever you play combo decks, you don't have to win as soon as possible. That is not the goal. The goal is to win before you lose. And so if the opponent is not trying to kill you that fast, you actually can just take more time, making sure that your win is inevitable rather than a 95%er. So
love to see the patience here, making sure to play around everything and that this combo does resolve successfully. So now we have Phalange. Let's see what cards are milled. Okay, that can bounce something back to end and Surveil 2.
Not a terribly great card in this matchup is the Ephar's Dispersal, because the only creatures that Toby's playing are ones you definitely don't want to bounce.
You can bounce your own, right?
But you can bounce your own, yes. So Sean is going to, like, his primary target for this is going to be his own Phalange Archaeologist. And it will help him surveil a little bit and get another Phalange for when he is going off and playing all of these spells for free through the Omniscience.
And Sean thinking, if it's free, it's for me, trying to get that combo online, but playing patiently to make sure that Toby does not have double Nowhere to Run.
And Toby, without even a second Sunpearl here and here, just can't provide any pressure, because if he taps out too much, well, he leaves only a single Nowhere to Run online, and then he knows that Sean has that counterspell for it. So we'll see here. I think there was a tap land from Sean at the end of turn there, so now he does have the 7 mana, and he's just going through in his mind, is there actually any way it goes wrong if I cast Abuelos for X equals 3 here? And that's exactly what we'll see. So this creates a 4/4 Spirit token of the Omniscience, and forcing Toby to play both of the Nowhere to Runs to kill it, and then Sean can just go ahead and counter the second one of those and be completely insulated here. So this is the turn we see Sean go off.
And that it is. This is a new card from Parkir Dragonstorm, right?
It's Marang River Regent.
Make the deck even more consistent. So how does this work here with the combo?
Yeah, so this is, you just get to play it for free. So it is draw 3 and then discard a card, and you shuffle the dragon back into your deck, which means you can continue to have card draw available in your deck. So here we see, yes, the first Nowhere to Run resolves. The Omniscience doesn't die because of this. Remember, again, the Abuela's Awakening turns it into a creature. And now Sean can counter that second copy exactly as planned. And Toby just... yeah, I've seen you do this. You can probably win from here. Sean is going to draw a lot of cards until he finds that second copy of Invasion of Arcavias. And once he does this, well, he can just cast Jeskai Revelation 4 times and kill the opponent.
Very well played.
4 damage at a time.
Now, Simon, on round 3 or 2, we did see that Jeskai deck that relies a bit on the graveyard. So Jeskai Oculus. Now, we were talking about how this deck, even sometimes post-sideboard, doesn't suffer too much for the graveyard hate. It's a different story for Omniscience, right?
Yes, the Omniscience deck is completely reliant on its graveyard to do the combo, unless you give them enough time that they can hardcast the Omniscience, which doesn't happen that often. I mean, I guess the way the combo worked here, it was a 7-mana way to put Omniscience into play, so it's not like, it's not even that much of a discount compared to the 10 mana that it costs to play. But yeah, so the 4 copies of Leyline of the Void that we see in the sideboard for Toby here are actually going to be quite important for shutting off Sean's combo. And this requires Sean, obviously this is open decklist, so he'll be able to prepare for that, but he'll need to cite in his answers for this, which might be Get Lost, it might be Disenchant, Exercise. He does have like a few answers to this. And that's essentially it just turns his like, the Omniscience deck right now is a 3-card combo deck. You need to have Abuelos, Omniscience, and a way to put Omniscience in the graveyard. By having Graveyard Hate in the sideboard, you force Sean to turn into a 4-card combo deck, where the 4th piece of the combo is a way to remove Leyline.
Let's see how this game plays out as these players are choosing some sideboard. And how do you think this game 2 is going to play out, Simon?
Hopefully not exactly the same as the first one. Hopefully the ley lines and the additional pressure that Toby can bring in. He also has like a 3rd copy of Liliana of the Veil. He has a Stone Brain in the sideboard. This is the big,
wait a second,
big trump to the matchup, because that one will be able to remove all of Sean's Omnisciences and completely render the combo impossible to do. Forcing Sean to try and win with just Marang River Regents. Sean doesn't have any like sideboard alternative threats like Riptide Gearhulk, and winning with Marang River Regent is like not going to be the easiest thing, especially as there are Momentum Breakers and Lilianas available in Toby's deck. So there's also the 3 additional copies, 3 copies of Preacher of the Schism, which is another way to put on pressure. It doesn't pressure that much, but it does draw cards for Toby, as he'll often have a higher life total than Sean. And that's another way you can pressure them. And then, of course, there are 3 copies of Shieldred the Apocalypse. We haven't seen that card at all, but in the first game here. But this is where Sean's if Eris Dispersals can be really important, because when you go off with Omniscience, you're really trying to draw a ton of cards.
Yeah. And
you just can't do that while Shieldred is in play.
That's true. And speaking of Shieldred, because you said it, Simon, that card is not seen a lot of play recently, but it was once, I don't know if you remember, while still legal in Standard, like 2 years ago, people were calling Shieldred to be banned of how strong it is, and now it barely sees any play, including in mono black decks that don't run Shieldred. So it just shows, and we were talking about this before, how Standard has evolved into a very powerful format. Shieldred the Apocalypse, not the same that it was once. Very sad. Do you like this more high-level Standard format, or do you prefer the more grindy Standard until turn 7-8 kind of situation?
I don't know. Like, I think when I'm at New Year's Eve, right?
Okay.
I want to see fireworks that are like fast and like, you know, big explosions, right? Those are exciting. I don't want to see a fireworks that lit up a rocket. It takes like, you know, 10 minutes. You just have to stare in the air, and then it says poof, and there's a little no. Like, that's not what I want. So of course I want these exciting, explosive, intense games of Magic. Of course, the one we just saw, I wouldn't call that either of those things. But
fair enough, fair enough.
But hopefully, I really hope we can see like what Toby's deck actually does, even though this, I assume, is a pretty bad matchup, as he doesn't pack any sort of counter spells to deal with the Omniscience. Toby's deck is very much built to grind out these creature decks, returning all these removal spells like the Momentum Breakers and the Nowhere to Runs, returning them to hand, replaying them, temporary lockdowns. There's so many tricks in this Orzhov deck.
I mean, a great choice because we saw that a big portion of the field is actually aggro decks.
Yeah, no, the deck lines up quite well into mono red and is at prowess.
I mean, obviously doing pretty well at 3-1, so that means that something is going wrong right here for Toby. Now a bit unlucky to get this matchup, but we are always prepared for that. There's always that matchup that you're like, I don't want to go against this deck. I'll go against any deck, just don't. Just not this one. Does it ever happen to you that you go to...
Oh, I only meet good matchups.
Only. You have to tell us our secret.
I don't believe in bad matchups.
You don't believe in bad matchups?
No. So, the trick to beating your bad matchups, or to not having any bad matchups, is that if you just win.
Easy.
Yeah.
You just win all.
Win.
So that then there's no bad matchups.
Exactly, yeah. If like you win whenever you play against someone, there can't be a bad matchup.
That's you're 3 steps ahead?
Well, none of these players are 3 steps ahead because they don't include that card.
That's true.
So.
But you are, Simon, and that's why...
Now that I'm an official control player, I'm definitely 3 steps ahead.
That's true. Now that you played one single game with Jeskai control.
The first game I played with control in my life, and I'm now converted.
Okay, players are ready here, and we see that ley line of the Void already on the battlefield. Exactly what Toby needs.
All right, that is going to put Toby in a much better position. And I think Toby kept a hand that was just 2 swamps, no white mana, and immediately rips the concealed courtyard. So this is going to be an exciting fireworks game. Invasion of Gobakan here, letting Toby take a look at Sean's hand and making a card more expensive. And the beautiful thing here, you just take that Omniscience out of his hand, or in this case, you might want to take the Overlord. That's even better. Like these cards that have like alternative ways to be played, they get super hosed by Invasion because Sean can't. I'm pretty sure Sean can't impent this card for 4 mana. He can only play this card for 7+2 mana, which means it's just essentially being discarded from his hand. And if Toby can return that Invasion to hand, he might also be able to hit that Omniscience and put that in the exile, and then Sean can't discard it from exile, and that Omniscience is just gone.
We get a game here, so Bandit's Talent. Now Sean has to discarding Omniscience here. It gets exiled, of course, because of that Leyline of the Void.
Yeah, so this is why we saw Sean, he had the Roiling Dragonstorm in hand, the way to draw 2 and discard a card. Didn't go ahead and play that to discard the Omniscience, because you don't want to do that until the Leyline of the Void is gone. But now sees that he's getting taxed so much on his card that he has to just say, this Omniscience is not for now. First, I need to get rid of this Leyline, or I need to find an alternative way to kill. Toby already took away this Overlord of the Mistmoors, so Sean just says, I'm gonna to put this Omniscience away. It's not gonna be part of my hand for now, and then later, way later, once I've dealt with this Leyline, I can try and think about fighting the Omniscience and setting up my combo.
Stock up. That's a good way to try to find those get lost or ways to deal with that Leyline. So let's see if Sean finds a way to deal with the board.
Absolutely. Yeah, and actually see, like, this Overlord was part of Sean's sideboard plan. Bring in a couple alternate win conditions. I actually missed that when looking over the sideboard as an alternative threat, and it's like, should be quite effective into this matchup. But Toby just came prepared here with that Invasion of Gobakan.
I love that. So we have a Pixie in hand, and I think a couple of lands, one of them being Demolition Field. We start with that Pixie, returning the Invasion of Gobakan.
And so this should mean that the Overlord is still stuck, costing 2 extra, and now you can take away this Meringue River Regent, another one of the alternative threats. You could also hit the Get Lost, which is the answer to Leyline of the Void, but if you do that, Sean is probably pretty happy to just pay 4 mana for it. Alternatively, you can take away the Omniscience here, because Sean actually has the combo set up now. He can go Get Lost onto the Leyline of the Void, then play Rolling Dragonstorm, discarding Omniscience, and has the Arboreals next turn. So Sean is super well set up here. And Toby doesn't even have that much of a response to this. So I actually think Toby might have been supposed to take out the Omniscience from Sean's hand, completely shutting off that combo.
And looks like playing a Swamp here and not activating that talent. I believe it's still on level 1, right?
Yes, that is true. I don't even know what the second part of the talent does.
It's not doing anything yet. It's if you have, I think, if your opponent in their upkeep they have like 1 or 2 or less cards. They
lose 2 life.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. So we're not quite at that anyways.
No.
And then the last level is where you could start drawing cards if the opponent has a few cards. But yeah, here we see the Get Lost hitting that ley line of the Void, creating some map tokens for Toby. And now Sean can just run out this Rolling Dragonstorm, draw 2, discard that Omniscience, and is kind of ready to combo next turn. Except, right now he doesn't have any additional card draw in hand. So he's going to try and find that with his next few draw steps, ways that even though he can't get the Omniscience in play, actually take advantage of that and play a bunch of spells for free.
There it is. Omniscience is now on the graveyard. And Children of the Apocalypse is the draw here for Toby.
Okay, so that's actually a pretty good draw for Toby. Sean's life total is quite high. You might want to crack a map token, see if you can deal an extra point of damage, or just level up the Banished Talent now. Not attacking with the Pixie, I think. But yeah, so now Sean takes 2 damage, goes to 18. And we now see the Abuelos on here. Sean having stock up, it doesn't draw cards, it just looks at cards and puts them in hand. So Sean has a lot of time here, even with the Shieldred in play, to try and find the Invasion of Arcavios, which will win him the game once he resolves that card.
So let's see if Sean manages to find it here, choosing 3 cards to go on the bottom and 2 go into hand.
And yeah, Moment of Truth, also not drawing cards, not triggering Shieldred. Yeah, I guess Shieldred is actually not that good against this deck, except for specifically the Rolling Dragonstorm and Meringue River regions. So it's very possible that Sean can just find ways to just dig through, continue to dig through his deck.
Fishing.
He is going fishing. Yeah, we love fishes on the stream.
Let's see if he finds what he needs to win here on the spot. Stock up, I mean.
Can you imagine that you're going fishing out by the lake? It's a nice summer day, and what you get on your hook is not the salmon or the trout that you were hoping for, but you get a library that's being invaded by the Phyrexian Horde. Yeah, not the best catch, but for Sean it is the best catch because that lets him go get Jeskai Revelation.
And there it is, the Get Lost taking care of that Shieldred, so no pressure now.
Oh, funny. Okay, so what we see here is the Invasion gets the Get Lost from the graveyard, clears the Shieldred so Sean can actually win, plays the Meringue River region, bouncing his own Invasion, playing Invasion again, getting Jeskai Revelation, and Jeskai Revelation just bounce one of your things, deal 4 damage to the opponent, and you can then keep looping that interaction.
Very interesting game here. I mean, I have to say very well played by Sean Goddard that now advances at 4-1 in the tournament. Toby on the other side, still very good, 3-2. Cannot lose more games here today, otherwise he won't make it into day 2 of this tournament. Very good round and very good match. What did you think, Simon?
Yeah, I think